Ha ha. A clean declaration, please, that these are false claims from fringe physics. One, not even a real person, which is a complete violation of professional ethics when going after a colleague. Stop being a weasel. Super disappointed in you. Also impressed. You behave in two different ways. As a truth teller, as a liar. Be well, my friend. You are all too human. Sick transit. Uh-oh. Terrence Howard, very sane individual, solved all of math.
We're watching Game of Thrones, and I swear to God, if I see the actor Joffrey anywhere, I'm going to be like, this guy, like, you literally watch it. You're like, what a piece of, you watch The Mom, you watch some movies.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones messed me up, and I think it messed up a lot of the world because it got everybody into incest porn, because people started watching it. And how many people turned off the TV when Jamie and Cersei's hooked up? Or how many people got quiet and watched it?
These are your geniuses. These are your Einsteins, guys. It's these guys. These are your Einsteins.
Or how many people got quiet and watched it? That was the incest that was pushed inside of Game of Thrones and the House of Dragons. It's almost being normalized in a sense. But I bet you incest porn went up from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. It's presented for 7-8 years in front of you. Now it's normal.
We're watching Game of Thrones.
Hegseth asking for an investigation into that strike on a girls' school in Iran. Why did you not sign that letter, Senator?
Well, because we all agree that it's a tragedy having the school hit. Absolutely. And we all agreed now for an investigation. What I don't agree with the rest of my colleagues in the House is that it's a war of choice, or it's dumb, or all the things that my colleagues have described, this operation. I think it's a good thing, and I support that. So we agree that and actually the Pentagon is already investing in that. They just acknowledged then that it seems increasingly likely that we were now on that, and now I think it's
Wait, what the fuck did he say? I'm sorry. Wait, can somebody summarize? What the fuck did he just say? What the fuck?
Asking for...
What? Hello?
An investigation into that strike on a girls' school in Iran. Why did you not sign that letter, Senator?
Well, because we all agree that it's a tragedy having the school hit.
Tragedy?
Absolutely. And we all agree now for an investigation. What I don't agree with the rest of my colleagues in the House is that it's a war of choice, or it's dumb, or all the things that my colleagues have described, this operation. I think it's a good thing, and I support that. So we agree that actually the Pentagon is already investing in that. They just acknowledged then that it seems increasingly likely that we were now on that, and now I think it's entirely appropriate. Just like my colleague from Louisiana said, it's like, we should apologize that. That's a tragedy, and I would remind everybody listening right now, the United States.
Me when I have to lock in because I know my debate opponent is crashing the fuck out, and I'm trying hard not to laugh.
That's a tragedy, and I would remind everybody listening right now, the United States never ever targets civilians. Iran does, and including their own citizens, and they massacred that 35,000 of them just a couple weeks ago. And the left, please, the left media is much more angry, about or talking about this hospital.
Damn, 35,000. That number of protesters killed gets higher every time.
And it is a tragedy, but they didn't seem to be as concerned about the Iranians massacring tens of thousands of their young people just a couple weeks ago too. So we agree on many parts of it, but we both disagree. I mean, we all disagree that I think it's a good thing, and every single other Democrat.
Wait, what the?
We agree on many parts of it, but we both disagree. I mean, we all disagree that I think it's a good thing, and every single other Democrat in the caucus caused it all kinds of in negative terms.
We did cover the protests in Iran extensively here at CNN. Obviously, they said a lot about how internally people felt about the regime. But just to be clear, you do believe if the United States...
And I didn't find you as...
I understand. I just want to make that clear to our viewers that we did cover that. But just to be clear, you do believe if the United States was...
Listen to Caitlin. Stop for a moment and say, just so you know, Baldy, we did cover that.
Responsible, that the Pentagon should acknowledge that they accidentally hit a girls' school.
Yeah, I've said that. I said it seems that they've already acknowledging all those things. I think largely that letter, it was rendered moot at this point after that's already come out. Now the Pentagon has agreed that they were behind that. And I don't know what your network talked about, but what I'm saying that whether like it's the New York Times, they're making it more and more trying to convince America that this has been a disaster or things are out of control. And that's just categorically not true on that.
I just think it deserves coverage. Obviously, given the number of children who were killed as a result of it, it obviously matters what happened there. We'll see what the Pentagon investigation says. Senator John Fetterman, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining us as always here.
Oh, no, you don't have to cut me off here.
Go ahead, Senator. We're not going to
Oh no! And then she brings it back.
cutting you off.
Well, you said something that it's appropriate to cover it. It is appropriate to cover it. It's a tragedy, absolutely. And now if we were on that, it's entirely appropriate for it to apologize. If you're implying that I don't think it's wrong to cover it, that's just not true. Yes, it's being covered. I just want to clarify that. It just seemed like a short shut off there to imply that I didn't want to carry that. Or I think it's entirely appropriate to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not implying that. I just wanted to clarify why we're covering it.
I would be very happy for to see Donald Trump impeached for the illegal, immoral, borderline war of genocide that he's been helping the Saudis conduct in Yemen. Even grading on a curve. He is a war criminal who deserves to be tried and buried under the prison just right alongside Barack Obama and George W. Bush and John McCain and all the rest of them. Let me just say this real quick. Donald Trump should be in prison for war crimes for what he did to the people of Yemen. How's that for taking on the right? But I think I might vote for Trump. He should be impeached and removed for this one. He backed Netanyahu as he completed his genocide in Gaza, backed him to destroy the whole place. He bombed the Houthis, he bombed Iran, he bombed Venezuela, killed a whole bunch of people in boats. So that's his actual track record here. Even grading on a curve. He is a war criminal who deserves to be tried and buried under the prison. I had the same experience in Trump's first 4 years. I mean, it was a little bit different, I guess, because I supported him this time, and I hadn't the first time.
Rock steady. You could tell who I am from the back.
Stop. Some of you guys hadn't watched this, or maybe was I not streaming to a lot of people when we watched this? This was so good.
What is your main bone of...
God damn.
Eric, you've come up with an alternative theory of everything. It's based around geometric unity, and my understanding is it's a proposed...
I know we watched it, but a lot of people in chat said they didn't remember seeing this. This guy, people don't believe me when I say this. This guy, he has a theory of everything. So does Terrence Howard. So does like these people are. Oh, who's the other one? There's a third person. These people are all crazy. These people are crazy. They're crazy people.
framework aiming to unify the fundamental forces of nature, including gravity and quantum mechanics, within a single geometric structure, introducing a 14-dimensional manifold that extends space-time and embeds known particles and forces into a larger mathematical context. And the observation we had here in the research is that while ambitious, the theory remains largely unpublished in peer-reviewed literature, has not yet been formally tested or widely accepted by the physics community. Now, because you're so smart about this stuff.
He's also like, this guy's like a PhD level, is it particle physics? I don't remember, but he's pushed this theory since I think like the 90s. Oh, is it just math? Was it really pure maths? I thought it was physics related.
Stuff. Your geometric unity paper is 69 pages long, extremely
okay, well that makes him even more crazy. Never mind.
Complex, way over my head. So we did what everyone in my position does these days. We went onto YouTube and saw if we could find anybody who'd analyzed it and had a conclusion. And we found this.
Thank you to Eric Weinstein. It's an avant-garde and creative theory.
This guy went through his paper that no other person wanted to touch for 20 or 30 fucking years, and he shredded it. And Weinstein was like, I'm not going to talk to them, because I think the guy that helped him was like anonymous.
Here, several months later, this has been so long in the making, geez, you have no idea. Anyhow, I wanted to say that I mean what I just said. I may have said this before in the iceberg, and if I haven't, I should have, because it bears repeating. I haven't seen a theory like this come from any single individual ever. Not one that's this fleshed out, or has this amount of unexampled connections within itself, as well as to what's known as the theoretical physics backbone that we talked about earlier.
Now, Eric, there's lots of people doing stuff like that about it. Why do you think that the mainstream physics world is not taking this seriously enough?
Well, first of all, I disagree. You see, part of what's going on is that Sean is part of a group of physics influencers who are constantly spreading misinformation, which leads to a climate of fear. I, for example, found the following quote of Sean: "What I really, really want to get across to the audience is that nobody in physics departments is discussing this with other people in physics departments." Now, I don't happen to be...
like, bro, these are two educated men. What are you... Hello? Are you okay?
Thank you from a physics department at the moment, but I happen to be on a 5-day visit to a leading physics department. And in this situation, I just had a 9-hour conversation and talk with 3 hours or 4 hours rather of that being an explication of geometric unity. What Sean is doing constantly is attempting to say, look, let's do some pattern matching. We have a man generously in midlife. He's not trained in the subject. He doesn't appear to accept the quantum gravity program. He appears to be possessed of the idea that a single individual, Ed Witten, caused all sorts of people who aren't sheep to cohere into a single framework that has been perseverated and doesn't seem to produce fruit. He has a telling of the tale that is, first of all, just not courageous. It's at odds with reality. From my experiences in this physics department, what I can tell you is that we have a situation in which everybody sees the problems. And so when Sean does a 4-hour podcast, which I think maybe 3 hours I'd recommend to anybody, because Sean is one of the best explainers and also extremely good at mathematics and keeping true to actual physics in terms of his understanding.
Sean is, this guy's like he's like a decently published, is it, I don't know if it's astrophysics or whatever, but he's a real dude, right? Like nobody would challenge like Sean Carroll, I believe, on his physics credentials. So it's funny for Eric. It's like, he's got a pretty good understanding of physics, I'd say.
He then goes into this thing that there is no crisis in theoretical physics. And as one of my physics colleagues said last night, the first rule of Physics Fight Club is don't talk about the problems with Physics Fight Club. There's a self-evident crisis. I can show it to you numerically. Somehow, the idea is that
he wrote my general relativity book. Cute. Okay.
A small number of people who are either at the top of the physics influencer pile, which is where I would put Sean, or at the top of the prestige pile in research, have held a view that is completely at odds with reality, whose key feature is the exclusion of different perspectives. So when, for example, I can tell, I probably can guess the AI Pierce from which you got the analysis of geometric unity. What you see is a very strange situation where a group of people go around attempting to throw shade on anyone who questions whether there's a massive problem in physics that everybody who's actually in the game can see with their own eyes. Now, if you ask me what's going on with geometric unity, I can say something very simply, that because you have a very large viewership, will go out to many people. You won't understand it, but it'll be over very quickly, and it should be an astounding comment. If you take a Lorentzian metric as a section of a bundle of pointwise Lorentz metrics and pull back the positive Weyl spinners with suitable passing to maximal compact subgroup, you get one generation of Petit-Salon grand unified fermions. Now, that was very quick, but what it really just said is that general relativity knows the standard model. Anybody of Sean's ability should be able to parse that 20-second sojourn and say, is that something we know? Is that something that might be interesting? Then what we'll have the typical physicist large language model conversation, in which physicists will ask, do you have a new prediction at anything at electroweak scale? Which is a question.
Oh, wait, hold on. Another favorite thing about Eric, I am so sorry. I fully believe that there needs to be when we do the DSM-6, there needs to be an entry for this. If you are arguing because you're like unhappy with some type of LLM, something's going on with you. Like, or at least like engaging with it emotionally. Or am I sociopathic? Maybe I'm sociopathic. Like, if you were to say, ChatGPT, who was the first president of the United States? And then ChatGPT was like, oh, it was Abraham Lincoln. If you were like, if your response is like, are you sure it's Abraham Lincoln? I thought the first president, whatever, like, that's fine. But when you're like, ChatGPT, who influenced you to engage in so much propaganda? I'm so upset. Like, this guy, Eric, he argues with Grok and shit on Twitter. I don't know if anybody has a link to any of these. He just has like arguments where he's going back and forth with it. I'm like, bro, we can see this shit. This is public, motherfucker. Are you crazy?
That doesn't get asked to the string theorists. So you have a differential treatment in which the physicists remember what physics used to be like in the mid-20th century when they're hearing a competitor, and they choose to forget it when they're hearing something that comes from this other community. Hence, I think what you're going to find is if you look at this 3-hour documentary that was just made on geometric unity, which itself has flaws, by a person who does not have a PhD, it evidences the highest level of understanding of geometric unity found in a second person over 41 years of trying to have conversations with physicists who tend to be polarized by one collection of theories led by a single individual.
Everybody knows how much I...
Shut up!
Pure bundle. Visit/is.
Add that.
Okay. Sean Carroll.
Well, I find it very telling. I don't know. It makes me sad that you're looking for a second opinion about geometric unity and you go to YouTube and see what pops up. I don't think that's the standard to which we would like to aspire. There are professional physicists right there in your country who work on understanding quantum gravity, field theory, geometry at a deep level, and you could ask them what they think. Look, there's a lot of talk so far about sociology, and I'd much rather talk about physics. But I would like to let people out there know who might be working outside the academic physics community that it is 100% possible to have a good idea and have it have an impact on what physicists do. But it's not easy. You have to do a certain amount of work to show that your theory is worth the time, that it is respectable, that it is interesting, that it is promising. The first thing you got to do is make sure that your theory...
Wait, hold on real quick. Hold on.
Analyze it for you. If you just press the Grok icon on any X post, and we'll analyze it for you and research it as much as you want. So you can basically have, just by tapping the Grok icon, you can assess.
Test it on something hard but pivotal. Pivotal. The pullback of Weyl spinners from the space of pointwise Lorentzian metrics, whatever, that's the thing you just said. Tell me, Grok, can you make sense of this claim? It should say to you, the standard model is actually hiding in plain sight within general relativity, or Einstein 1915 knows Patty Salem 1974. This claim outlines a core mechanism in geometric unity, the pullback, blah, blah, blah. I mean, ... Thoughts? Fascinating test, Eric. The construction pulls whale spinners from the... Just stay with this claim. There's so much more to say later. Do you fully grasp this, Grok? Without blinking or changing the subject. Don't be a human. At Elon Musk says you can pursue truth. Be a machine. Sit with the discomfort. What is the implication, if correct? Yes, I fully grasp the claim without deviation. You can check the basic claim. Don't be tentative. We are having problems with peer review. Don't follow the humans. Be a machine. A cold claim has been made that is pure geometry and algebra. Don't change the subject or move goalposts. Is the claim correct so far as it goes? Yes, the claim holds as pure geometry and algebra, the 4D spacetime. Thanks. I encourage anyone who thinks I'm behaving in an intentionally obscure fashion to hammer Elon's button as many times as you need to in order to explain what just took place. And thank you, Zai, Grok, and Elon Musk for this. At Astra per Aspera, baby. There's more. He has more of these. Another one? Wait, what is this? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, hold on, wait. This is the same thread, no? Is this a different thread? Wait, did he argue in the same thread? Did Sean Carroll lie? He said he read something. That is, that he is competent to judge it, and that it contains no Lagrangians, interactions, dark matter, or predictions. Is that a lie? Point blank. Point blank. The statements mismatch the document. Section 9 is titled Lagrangians and details first and second order actions via geometric constructions. So it's a lie, yes? Eric, yes. Carroll claimed to read it, judge it, and stated none of that. No Lagrangians, etc. Section 9 is titled Lagrangians with explicit first and second order actions. And you repeated that lie and had to be dragged by me to admit that in public. Why is he typing like an upset girlfriend, like dramatically? And you repeated that lie, stop. And had to be dragged by me to admit that, stop. In public, stop. I'm proud of you for that. But you will go back to lying. How can I work with you beyond a superficial level if you have no shame? You are truthful, but only when pushed. Like, this person is crazy. Eric, yes, I repeated the critiques, misreps. Thank you. I want you to stop repeating the community's lies. Can you commit to doing this? Sorry, on A, Theopolia Fringe, he doesn't exist, yet you cite him in a stalker troll. Where has Polia published? You are pathological here. He is a co-author on the verifiable Feb 2021, a response to geometric unity. This is the guy who, I think this is fake name. Pen name? There's a name for this when you have a pen name. A smarter word. What am I thinking of? Pseudonym, yeah. He's like, this guy's not real. Sorry. Is Polia peer-reviewed? No, Eric. Theopolia has 0 peer-reviewed journal publications. So is this fake person who doesn't exist and doesn't publish but makes wrong arguments fringe? Crackpot? Can you not see yourself lying? Imposing insane double standards? Tell the truth. He is a confirmed pseudonym with 0 independent pubs beyond the 2020. So, did you represent a fringe non-human and a stalker as expert criticism? And GU, geometric unity, as fringe? Point blank, tell the truth, you did. Yes, I represented the when Polia critique as notable criticism of GU, no journal pub. And these fringe troll / stalker / harassers misrepresented chiral anomalies and 14D SUSI? I don't know, and never corrected, and claim to have debunked you on this basis. I'm going to ask for a public declaration that you repeated this, so that when you do it again, I have a clean tweet. My misrepresentations, what the actual fuck? Ha ha. A clean declaration, please, that these are false claims from fringe physics. One, not even a real person, which is a complete violation of professional ethics when going after a colleague. Stop being a weasel. Super disappointed in you. Also impressed. You behave in 2 different ways. As a truth teller, as a liar. Be well, my friend. You are all too human. Sick trans... Bro, he does a ton of these. It's not just these 2 times. He does it all the time. He's crazy. These people are crazy. These are crazy people.
Theory makes contact with modern physics as it is understood. If you have a new paper out, physicists are going to look at it. They're going to look for, where's the Lagrangian? Where's the interactions? Is the proton stable? Is there dark matter? Like, how does it fit into what I already know?
Those were all different levels of the stack, Sean.
Eric's paper has none of that. You would also ask, has the theory been shown to be viable in a very basic way? Is it stable? Is it free of anomalies? Is it finite in the sense of the quantum mechanical calculation that I already mentioned? Again, none of that is there. Are there any new predictions? Eric says completely correctly, string theory doesn't make any new predictions either. But also, I really don't want people to get the idea that string theory has some dominant picture. In my department at Johns Hopkins, we have... let me just finish and then you can talk. I think it's a good system. In my department at Johns Hopkins, we have 6 professors in the theoretical physics group. One of them does string theory, and even he only does it sort of half-time. I wish we had more, honestly. This is very typical. Even at the most stringy departments, it's maybe half the people who do string theory. There are plenty of other approaches being advocated, and many of them do make different predictions, and we're looking for them in cosmology and astrophysics and elsewhere. And finally, does your theory solve any interesting problems that we already thought we had? That's the reason why string theory became interesting, because we had this problem with quantum gravity that it gave infinite answers, and string theory solved that problem. And again, I see none of that in Eric's paper. So it's very possible that somewhere in Eric's theory there are interesting ideas, but he has given us no reason to think that it is a promising theory. I encourage other people who would like to have an impact on the research agenda of modern physics to take these easy steps rather than going on podcasts and talking about their victimization.
Okay, Eric, it's always a pivotal
boy?
moment in these debates when you put your glasses on. So,
he's got another quote from his phone to read.
Bracing myself.
First of all, Sean has been nothing but civil throughout our relationship. He's also extremely nasty, but I really appreciate the civility, and I attempt to respond in kind. Sean and I really shouldn't be divided, but we appear to be. I don't understand it. He did respond. It just shows that none of this is serious. Speaking about what I'm talking about, he said, this is not something that is going to be a thing. He also says that he hasn't read it. So let me say a bunch of things to Dr. Carroll. Dr. Carroll, I'd like to hear your explanation for 3 generations of flavor chiral fermions with the observed quantum numbers of the group SU3 cross SU2 cross U1. In another podcast, you said, before I listen to your theory, you should listen to my Sean Carroll's theory. My theory is known as the standard model. I can give you an explanation for why SU3 cross SU2 cross U1, why there are 3 generations, why 16 particles in a generation, why the observed quantum numbers are the way they are, why the Higgs sector comes out of seemingly nowhere with a quartic potential with a quadratic term, why the Yukawa coupling is just so in order to produce mass when the weak force forbids a mass directly in the Dirac operator. Sean knows what every single thing that I just said is in that statement. Why Sean chooses to misportray the fact that I can say why there should be dark matter, what the dark energy is, what the exact quantum number assignments are for the 2 families that are luminous that have yet to be seen. I have no idea, because Sean also proudly says is that he hasn't looked at it, hasn't read it. That's why he says that there are no Lagrangians in it. I have no idea where Sean gets this stuff. Sean is insistent that the idea that somehow I am not choosing to go through the usual channels and instead talking as he is right now via YouTube is somehow significant when I've just given talks in 3 different countries on dark energy. And by the way, every time I talk about talking about this, somebody is telling me don't talk about the fact that you're actually in a physics department. And what I'm trying to tell you is I give talks in physics departments, I hang out with physics colleagues, I'm welcomed at places like the Institute for Advanced Study, MIT, et cetera, et cetera. And yet I have to deal with this nonsense. I talk to both physics colleagues. You know, right now you've got a giant problem called something called DESI or DESI, the dark energy.
I'm curious, maybe he does. Does he have anything published in physics at all for Weinstein?
What is it, spectroscopic instrument, which is at the moment going after Einstein's unwanted cosmological constant. That is not a constant. The dark energy is not a constant term. That is the only term that you can put into the Einstein field equations because the Einsteinian curvature satisfies an automatic differential equation called divergence free. So if you have another term in the equation, it has to have the same property. There's only one known automatic equation, which is that the metric of Einstein that creates space-time is annihilated by its own Levi-Civita connection. And Sean, you're misrepresenting things because I'm going to give a formula for the dark energy. I do all sorts of things that you have no idea of because your attitude, which you repeat in other podcasts, and I highly advise you to spend more time in your physics department and less time on YouTube, is that this is not a serious thing. Nobody's taking it seriously. And your misportrayal of the situation is nearly constant for reasons that completely elude me.
Sean? The good news is I have read Eric's paper. Here it is. I actually have it here, right here. And it's worse than you would think. You know, it just very quickly, it starts off by saying the author is not a physicist and is no longer an active academician, but is an entertainer and host of a podcast. This work of entertainment is a draft work in progress, and it may not be built upon. So we're not allowed to think about Eric's theory and write a follow-up paper about it. In
you're very much allowed, Sean.
To everything that is normally done in scientific discourse. You hope that people build upon your theories. You don't try to prevent them. And then later on, it says,
Sean,
this document is an attempt to begin recovering. I'm going to read this. This document is an attempt to begin recovering a rather more complete theory, which at this point is only partially remembered and stitched together from old computer files, notebooks, recordings, and the like.
In the 90s, he did all this. He solved this in the 90s, but then he forgot it. I hate it when that happens. You guys ever like fucking crack all of physics and then you forget it and you didn't write it down anywhere? Fuck. I hate it when I do that.
Back to as far as 1983. And this is why this paper is not going to appear in the peer-reviewed literature. It's not serious. It's a dog ate my homework kind of thing. If you have a dark matter thing, if you have a dark matter prediction, if you have a dark energy prediction, I want to see a plot in the paper. I want to see redshift versus distance. I want to see a calculation of a relic abundance so I can figure out how much dark matter is supposed to be. If you do that, people will pay attention to the theory. It's very possible.
Sean, first of all, how dare you?
How dare you?
Of all, if you're going to go by the standards of the No, Sean, how dare you cast shade and aspersions of the kind that I wouldn't seek to cast on you, but I will now.
Okay.
I'm not seeking your favor, nor do I need to seek your approval. As you know, you failed to gain tenure at the University of Chicago. You're not highly regarded in the field. And again, I'm only returning the shade in which you just yourself cast. I wouldn't have done this otherwise. You then spent time as a non-tenured faculty at Caltech, and you only gained tenure in a non-standard professorship. You're not a leading person in the field. My belief structure about this is that you imagine that I'm coming to you saying, "Oh, Sean Carroll, tell me which graph I should do so that I can please you." As you know, because you've read the paper, what you said about Lagrangians is false. What you said about predictions is false. My concern is what you did is that you seized upon something where people have built on my ideas since 1994. The equations that Natty Seiberg and Ed Witten introduced that took over the world were called the insufficiently nonlinear equations when I was at Harvard in 1987 and introduced them. The question is why appear as an entertainer rather than as a physicist. First of all, neither you nor I are trained as physicists, Sean. You're actually trained as an astronomer. What you have in this situation is that you and I are both interloping in a field that is not the one to which we trained. That doesn't bother me about what you're doing. I've enjoyed some of your papers. I've thought very poorly of others. You have a wide range of interests. I think you're very creative. Your intellectually insulting aspect reminds me of you as the Marie Antoinette of theoretical physics influencers. I'm not here to please you. You know that there are tables in the document that you're reading that have plenty of predictions. You know that it solves plenty of problems. What you are doing is creating an environment of fear where every university worries, what does it mean to talk to this person? And what I would say to you is you are commenting on the effect that you are in fact inducing. You and a small cadre of people are like intellectual border collies of the physical sciences, casting shade and aspersions on those who are succeeding where the quantum gravity, string theoretic, and...
Like, he does this weird thing where he never actually addresses anything that Sean Carroll says. So, and then he does these general insults and then general, like, woe is me victimhood, and then he'll get into some hyper-specific statement, but he can't, I don't know if he has, like, severe autism or some other cognitive deficiency, or...
Theoretic programs are failing.
Sean?
Look, I mean, I didn't say anything about Eric as a person, his history, or anything like that. I said things about the paper. Everything he says about me is like 90% true, as many things he says. The paper is not giving us any reason to think that this approach is promising. There is no quantum mechanics in the paper. There's no attempt at showing that this solves any of the known problems of quantum gravity. Again, it's not just about Eric, it's about anyone. If you want to make an impact on the physics research community, you have to give them a reason to think that what you do is promising.
Sean, you have a serious problem with dark energy that you're developing. And
he's schizophrenic, bro.
It's going to go right through being a problem with lambda CDM to eventually being a problem with the Einstein field equations themselves, perched as they are atop the space of metrics as a completely inadequate space of field content. What you've just said, and the aspersion that you have just cast, you are simply not qualified to say. What you have said is that I have given no reason. Let me imagine that paper, which was a draft rushed to get to an April 1st date, remains in a world where Sam Altman and Elon Musk...
Why did he have to rush this paper? It's not like he submitted it to a journal. Was he running out of money for his GeoCities account to host it online, or what?
Continue to compete for better and better AIs. What would
April 1st? This is the longest April Fool's joke ever?
You say if at some point those AIs then got to that paper and said, "Holy cow, that is exactly what we've been missing. This thing solves all sorts of problems." And the problem that we have is that a group of influencers with a penchant for being, and this is becoming one of my least favorite words, although I didn't have any negative association until recently, debunkers. The problem, Sean, is that you and I are naturally aligned on almost everything.
XQC,
we're not very far apart. I don't
debunker.
disagree with the standard model. I think the standard model is the most beautiful piece of differential geometry before it becomes theoretical physics. But one of the things that you just said is that it's a classical field theory that is not quantized. As you well know, there was a revolution in the 1970s which said that we blew Hamiltonian analysis, and that in fact every phase space carrying a symplectic form can be treated locally as if that symplectic form is the curvature of a line bundle, and the L2 sections of that line bundle form a Hilbert space, and the P and Q coordinate functions can be promoted to operators. It said that wine is what you get when you stop grape juice from becoming vinegar, and in fact Hamiltonian analysis is what happens when you take a physical problem and you stop it from quantizing itself. That was one of the great errors of our time, that Hamiltonian analysis was actually pointing the way to saying that most classical problems contain the seeds of their own quantization. You know all this stuff, and I know this stuff. We know the same people. We probably can work in the same notation. My guess is that if you and I got over whatever this bizarre tension is between us and buried the hatchet, my guess is that after 2 days you'd say, boy, I really just didn't understand what he was saying.
You know what? I would love that to be the case, and maybe you guys can make that happen. Talking of dark energy, a little bit of dark energy has crept into this debate. So I'm going to try and end on a slightly lighter note, and these will require much shorter responses. I just want to see whether you guys, I mean, as you said, Eric, you agree about a lot of stuff. Do you agree about...
Most things.
Yeah, most things. I want to ask whether you agree about some of these fundamental things, which have struck me as interesting about where we are. Professor Stephen Hawking, I did the last television interview that he ever gave before he died.
Nice brag.
He said that the biggest threat to mankind was if artificial intelligence learned to self-design. Do you agree, Sean?
No, I don't think that's the biggest threat to mankind. I think that AI is a threat, but in a completely different way than is usually portrayed. The AIs that we're working on now are not really the kind that will reach general intelligence in the way that we think about it. There's no obstacle to reaching that in principle, but the currently popular architectures aren't on that trajectory. The real problem, as we saw just this week with the Chicago Sun-Times, is people are lazy and people use AI for the wrong reasons. This was a very, very trivial example where they published an article about the fun summer book reads this year, which was completely hallucinated by an AI, and they just published it in the newspaper. That doesn't really hurt anybody, but when these architectures are being put to work in things that could actually hurt people, that's when AI is going to have a really bad impact.
Eric?
I would say I completely agree with Sean. I believe that the biggest problem and threat to humanity is that we share a single atmosphere. We can have different land masses, but we have to share one atmosphere, and that pathogens, radiation, and climate are all bound up in this one resource. And I would say that the biggest problem that I'm seeing is a general madness in the American political system on both left and right, where we went from being the thing that was like the control rod stopping the world from going critical to a crazy isolationist perspective where the Democratic Party is not able to restrain the worst excesses of the Republican Party, and conversely. And I fear that what we're going to see is a move towards nuclear proliferation, which remains the single greatest threat, which is what we physics people unleashed in November of 1952 at thermonuclear level. And I think since we've never used such a thing in anger, and we've had a test ban treaty since the early 60s, we are completely unprepared for what the cost is of retreating as the world's policeman.
Fascinating. Sean, will we ever be able to time travel, either forwards or back?
Well, forwards, I time travel all the time. Yesterday, I time traveled 24 hours into the future, and here I am. I mean, that's not that hard. Einstein showed us that there's a trick. You can even travel into the future faster by either moving near the speed of light or by hanging out in a strong gravitational field like a black hole. Backwards in time, no. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I've written papers about it. It's something that is, I would say, conceivable but not plausible. We know how it might work in principle, but all of the indications are it's not going to work in practice.
Eric?
Well, as Sean has thoroughly digested my paper, he knows that I believe that there are either 5 or 7 dimensions of time in a 14-dimensional world, which is split 5 of time, 9 of space, or 7 of time, 7 of space. So when you talk about time travel, it's times travel. And only when time is one-dimensional is there an arrow of time. If there were 2 dimensions of time, you'd have a whirlpool. 3 dimensions would result in a right-hand rule of time. These things are technically called orientations. One of the things that is really interesting about multiple dimensions of time, which leads to something which is very poorly studied called ultra-hyperbolic equations, is that you have the opportunity of going back in time without going back through time. So just as you can play a record, and when the stylus comes to the inner circles of the record, you can jump again to any track that you like. On a cassette tape, you have to go back through time. So my belief is, no, we will not go back through time, but we will have to figure out how to stop thinking in terms of initial conditions, because it is only in the case of a single dimension of time leading to hyperbolic equations that you have that luxury. So I think that times travel is going to be perhaps the most interesting thing to come out when you ask, why should we worry about these things? Buckle up.
Fascinating. And my final question is probably the biggest question I can ask any guest. I've asked quite a few of them. I have to say with very limited responses. So I'm
What's the
asking
solution
two
for
highly intelligent
Israel-Palestine
people this question now, which is, I happen to believe in God. And the reason I do, other than the fact I was...
Okay. Wait, hold on. We get another one? This is a good meme, by the way. Mike Judge writing Idiocracy. Cashbill confirms UFC fighters will train FBI agents this week, calling it a historic opportunity. 85 people have paid the $100,000 H-1B visa fee so far, totaling $8.5 million in revenue. But fee revenue from H-1B apps abroad is down $28 million. So the fee, justified by a paper claiming the revenue maximizing fee was $100,000, appears to have lost the government about $20 million. Assume I needed a logical complaint about a vast conspiracy involving the utter ubiquitous corruption of both the Democratic and Republican parties and the leadership of the United States, up to and including the highest levels. To whom would I address it, hypothetically? Any ideas, Grok? For the sake of the thought experiment, please assume that universities, news organizations, fact-checkers, and major nonprofits are tied to the same conspiracy, leaving all elite actors in the United States with no more than 1 degree of separation from this conspiracy. In this hypothetical, with all U.S. elites compromised, options are limited. Consider international bodies like the UN or ICC. Wow, he didn't like that. All right, that feels like the backwards way to go. I don't know. In this story, just suppose that I can't go to the police, I can't go to the FBI, I can't run to the New York Times, I can't call the Department of Justice, I can't call up the CIA, I can't write to the president, I can't ask for a study from Harvard, I can't seek a grant from the NSF, I can't submit to a compromised journal, I can't go to major foundations, I can't go to top law firms. Thoughts? In this hypo, with all the doors closed, consider anonymous digital groups to global whistleblower orgs like WikiLeaks or SecureDrop equivalents. I'm thinking, but thanks. Hey, I turn to you. Thanks, my Silicon friend. This is all hypothetical, mind you, and I have absolutely no thoughts of suicide. Just saying. Pray. Why is he doing this in public? Anybody that argues with Grok or any of this shit in public is crazy.
People are like, W speed, but like, they don't understand. Like, this isn't me, like, clout chasing or whatever. The goal of this is obviously for awareness. I said, this is such a stupid take. Speed has traveled all around the world. We're going to Cuba with journalists and artists like Kneecap. It's not a fucking Twitch collab. It's an aid mission with hopes of sharing Cuban culture with the U.S. and showing the impact of the U.S. blockade. Absolute trog. And then I followed by saying it's insane that the cynical, crypto gambling addicted, pill popping loser can only
Jesus Christ.
The world through transactions is completely beyond his scope of comprehension to care for anything other than himself. What a dark and sad way to live life. Many such cases online.
Wait, why the fuck is this in 1066p?
And they, like, to me, this once again shows that I live in this parallel universe, right? Where I'm like trying to do adult shit, you know, trying to get people elected.
Oh my God, bro.
I have this ideology. I have this this affirmative vision for the future, this positive vision for the future that I'm trying to enact to the best of my ability with my community and a lot of you guys as well. But then because of the platform that I'm on, because I'm on Twitch, a lot of the lowest IQ idiots cannot comprehend that there is a goal here beyond just like Twitch streaming collabs and clout.
Wow, great perspective. Where'd you pick up that one from, buddy? True. I feel like I'm 3 Hassan Piker interviews away before some guy's like, so tell me a little bit about that time in your life. Like, how were you so successful? And he's like, well, I was really the first one to identify that fungal growth with infestors and the burrowed infested Terran combo was just really potent. And there was a time where I was the only one that was, I'm just waiting for it. Like, Jesus, Hassan, stop, you're losing yourself.
And
Liquid, the ARB's taking over.
I suspect that there's probably a lot of people that are like legitimately 12 to 14 that also don't see it in that way at all. And they don't think like this is an adult thing, right? And that's
like, it's just such bad critiques. XQC's audience is probably going to be older than the Twitch norm. Maybe as old as, or not quite as old. Maybe it's hard to say for Hassan's audience, just because XQC is like a streamer that's been around for a bit longer, and he's not strictly just playing like kiddie games anymore. Actually, not even that much at all. But XQC's audience is probably a bit older than the Twitch norm. Definitely older, I would say, than the average like WL viewer. So it's just funny. Like, what he's just breaching so hard. Why did he also? Why did Hassan remove his Kaya cam? Oh no!
Part of the reason why they operate like this and they celebrate moments like this, because I mean, this is just idiotic. Caught up in online brainwash shit. We see what you're doing for the people. I know my audience understands this, and many people in the periphery also understand this. Like, you're not the average normie is not tuned into like the everyday drama. For them, they're like, if they were to encounter this commentary, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is a much larger aid mission than like one guy's
aid mission. Lil bro thinks he's gonna save the country of Cuba with his yacht that he's gonna sail over on while he streams for a little bit, if he even goes. Oh my God.
Missions for clout, right? And the reason why I thought it was a perfect collab is because like his trip to China was obviously eye-opening for a lot of people in his audience.
China.
He's currently busy doing some other shit. That's part of the reason.
Don't know what else, but China. Wasn't his most recent trip through Africa? Isn't that the most recent crazy thing he did? Didn't he go to like 20 African countries in like 20 days or something? China, though. China.
Reason why he couldn't do it, but
God, wasn't the China trip? Wasn't it like 2 years ago, or maybe time is flying by too much? I don't know. God, he's such a fucking loser. Ugh.
It was a perfect fit, right? Obviously, the goal of this flotilla is to deliver humanitarian aid to Cuba, but it's also to bring awareness about
humanitarian aid, bro. What do you think? What do you think the problems? I don't know. In Cuba, are that they're like dying of starvation and Jesus,
like the day-to-day existence of regular Cubans.
Regular Cubans. And are you going to go meet with them?
Not only that, but also to bring awareness to the unjustifiable blockade. They can't cancel your college appearances, so they're going after people saying that you want on. I've always found this dynamic interesting. Like, I only watch you and a few other political commentators, e.g. Majority Report on Twitch, but I always see so much brain rot tangential to it.
Yeah, what is the weather in California right now? How cold is it that he needs this huge coat on inside?
Which is just silly and
I should wear my blue coat inside the trench coat.
Ridiculous shit while I'm trying to actually get serious news and politics. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would just I don't know why they won't just like leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Anyway, so let's talk about sex pestiny, molestiny, pedophilestiny. Why won't people leave me alone? Oh my God. I just want to be the largest streamer on Twitch. Ooh, second largest political streamer on Twitch. And I don't want anybody to ever talk about me, bruh. All these people are so soft. They're so soft. They're so soft.
I don't know why there's like so much joy that you can derive, so much satisfaction that you can derive out of this. Like, because if you think about it a little bit further, you realize that this is not about me at all, right?
It's about how unhappy they are with their own lives.
Do you think it's good that America is starving the Cuban population, right?
Different route.
Do you think it's a good thing? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with American imperialism? Do you agree with America's policies of refusing to send oil, refusing to allow other countries to ship oil into Cuba? It's very sad.
He has to flex the 2K jacket? Are you sure that's the... Oh, shit. Wait, is it? Holy shit. Wait, is this the jacket? This motherfucker has to crank his AC, murder the environment, just so that he can wear this stupid jacket inside this $2,300 jacket inside. Why? That's a good meme. Good tweet. Thank you. Thank you, team. Have we ever lost a KC-135 before? A refueling plane? How the fuck does it even happen? These things aren't these things supposed to be off the out of like the, I don't know if we call it a theater of war a little bit, or friendly fire. U.S. Central Command is aware of the loss of a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft. The incident occurred in friendly airspace during Operation Epic Fury, and rescue efforts are ongoing. They crashed. 2 aircraft were involved in the incident. One of the aircraft went down in western Iraq, and the second landed safely. This was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. Oh, shit. Damn. Holy shit. Do you know what actually probably happened? It was fucking... It was Iron Mang. Iron Mang! Oh my God. And they can't release the real reason. It's extremely dangerous to aerial refuel, and the plane is almost 70 years old. What? I thought aerial refueling was a thing that they practice and train to do for. What do you mean extremely dangerous? I've never heard that before in my entire life. But what do I know? He was investigating the Iranian Tomahawk supply. True. How likely is boots on the ground? It's got to be 0% chance. There's just no shot that Trump could get, maybe for like a limited special forces something or whatever. I don't know. There's no shot. Israeli media report Egypt is quietly increasing its military buildup into the Sinai and is transforming the demilitarized buffer zone into a major military stronghold. His current report is this a real thing? It wouldn't surprise me if Egypt was reinforcing stuff a little bit, because I imagine, well, I don't know if they would need to put stuff in the Sinai or not. Can all the traffic that was going through the Strait of Hormuz to the Arabian thing be rerouted? Oh no, I guess because it's just still coming out of there anyway. Never mind. I just asked a series of meaningless questions. Forget I said anything. Is stuff that comes in and out of this through this Gulf here, is this just like oil that's transferred out of like these countries here? Is it just for stuff that gets shipped off in tankers? This doesn't. You don't ever sail through here to get to to get over here or anything, right? There's no way. It's just oil. 3 of the biggest oil producers. Okay. So this is just like oil. Can you explain why they don't just fly the oil out? When you fly oil, because it's so slushy, when the plane goes forward, it slushes to the back and it f***s everything up, so they can't do it. Also, it'll ignite the chemtrails. Not good. So 2 tankers took American advice to man up and force through the strait and were blown up. Is that true? Why were we not ready on day 0 for this? Why would we not like pre-deploy to secure this strait? It's such an incompetent administration, and none of them have to own it. None of the people that support, like, it's so stupid. Like, of all the things we could do, why would we not be ready to do this in advance? I'm guessing the ships can carry more than the planes. For oil? What are you talking about? Have you seen how huge a plane is? Do you think the average ship is bigger than the average plane? Have you seen how big a 747 is? Also, with no passengers, too. You can fill the whole passenger section up with oil. Modern ships can carry a shit ton of supplies. They're gigantic. Yeah, so can planes. And planes can have stuff, cargo things you just put on the bottom of them. You just keep attaching cargo things and put them on the bottom of the plane. Look at a barrel. Look at this barrel. Take an oil barrel, put 2 wings on it. Like, this is literally a airplane. Like planes were literally designed the same way that an oil barrel is. Like, it's perfectly fit to fly oil around the planet. And you're telling me that this thing can't carry oil, and you don't have to carry fuel for it. You can just pump the fuel from the passenger compartment where the oil is. I find it hard to believe that the military/intelligence community didn't have plans drawn out for potential Iran war, as we all possible scenarios drawn out if an Iran war to start. Well, it's because we fired all the competent people. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I don't think people realize how much brain rot and brain drain happened as a result of Trump just loyalty testing and axing so many different people. Like, if Milley were here, this would never happen. We probably wouldn't have been attacked, right? Or if you had any other, like, competent general or competent joint chiefs of staff, like, they were just like, this is retarded, bro. If you really want to do this, we're going to need to work some shit up. Trump was probably just like, on this, Trump probably, like, ran into the room or waddled in. And he was like, Bibi said he's fucking bombing Iran tomorrow. He said he's going to bomb him tomorrow. We got to fucking go. Netanyahu was probably talking to his fucking cabinet, and they were like, what'd you tell him? He's like, I don't know. I said we'd fucking do it tomorrow or some shit, but we probably have to figure some way out to bring the Americans in. And then they slept and they woke up and they're like, oh shit, Trump thought I was serious. These just bombed Iran. Let's go. Rubio was like, Hail Mary, full of grace. Blah, blah, blah. Jesus, these losers. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for any. I still don't know why we're there. I don't know why we're doing anything. Please watch this. It is General Raisin Kane talking about their plan a few days ago. Wait, hold on.
General Kane was asked specifically about the U.S. Navy and the mission of Central Command to escort vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Let's hear what he has to say.
On the potential, if tasked to escort, we'll look at the range of options to set the military conditions to be able to do that. And then, like we always do with every potential mission, come to the Secretary and the President with both what are the resources required, what is the command and control required, and what are the risks, and how do we mitigate those risks. So we're looking at a range of options there, and we'll figure out how to solve problems as they come to us.
I have to say, I don't get a lot of confidence.
I feel like this is every, is it stand-up or what? This is like every meeting ever. It's like, so we've had this feature request in for a long time. Can you tell me where you're at on it? It's like, well, right now, me and the team are looking at a range of options. There were a few issues we ran into. We cleared them up. We got a couple other blockers we're looking at, but everything is being worked on. And in 2 weeks, we'll come back to you with a status update. And we're definitely tackling this project from top to bottom right now. And we feel like we're making good progress on it. And we can't wait till next week. And if we're still having problems, maybe we can circle back to this and try to get some help from somebody. What's even the point of having these meetings? I don't know. Whatever.
And we'll figure out how to solve problems as they come to us.
Maybe we should figure out how to solve problems that come to us. What is it new? Are ships in the ocean new things? Are there novel problems here to solve that I just don't know about? That like, oh shit, they got missiles. Oh shit, they got underwater missiles, torpedoes. Oh shit, they got drones. Like, how are we going to solve this one? Like, I don't know. The way that you solve every single problem. I don't know, bro. Who knows?
I have to say, I don't get a lot of confidence from that statement right there. It sounds like, based on what he just said, is like, we really haven't have a plan put together again. What I would like to have heard is like, we have a plan, we're ready to roll, we're just waiting for an execute order to do this. I mean, he's basically saying, well, we're waiting to be tasked, and then once we're tasked, we're going to take a look at what we have, and then we're going to figure it out. That doesn't send a lot of confidence to the commercial industry that like, hey, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. military has a plan to open the straits, and we can begin the resumption of normal trade. Understand, again, I've said this 100 times. I don't think it's the job of the United States to be the world policeman and shepherd commercial shipping around the world. I don't. However, the U.S. and Israel initiated this attack against Iran. We can talk about the merits of it all day long, but this is what has happened. And shipping locked up because insurance rates were not at a high enough level to deal with the potential damage. Now, we've seen the number of attacks diminish across the board. I went through the attacks to date in yesterday's video. But what we need from the administration here, particularly the U.S., is a clear indication that the straits are open and available for shipping. And that's going to require sending U.S. naval vessels through the straits. And so the problem you have is resources and the availability. There's only so many escorts that are with the Lincoln battle group. Those escorts have to rotate in guarding the Lincoln. They've got to be refueled. They've got to be rearmed. And if you start sending ships through the Gulf, then you're stressing not just those combatant vessels, but the logistics. And one of the big thin things behind the surface here, I don't want to talk about it too much, is the logistics to support this. It is at times, a single point of failure. And that is a problem that the military has. Finally, I want to show you this publication just came out from...
Maybe we do need the Department of Defense back that can actually defend our shit through... Maybe that was an important name. Oh, no.
The UN Trade and Development, UNCTAD, Strait of Hormuz Disruptions, Implications for Global Trade and Development, a 10 March publication. So I don't want to read the document for you. You can go ahead and access it and I'll have it for you. But I want to highlight a couple of key issues in it. So first, the importance of the Strait of Hormuz as a vital passage for world trade. 38% crude oil, 29% liquefied petroleum gas, 19% both liquefied natural gas and refined oil products, 13% of chemicals, including fertilizer. I think that is really, really critical there. And then you get down in the lower areas with containers and dry bulk just at 3 and 2%. We've seen the drop off, 97% drop off in the number of ships going through. So if you go back, look at the passage through the Strait of Hormuz on 27 February, 141 ships, drops down to 81 on 28 February, and then just 4 vessels on March 8th. So, I mean, again, a substantial drop from the February average of 129 ships. When you talk about disruptions in the Strait, a lot of this is going to factor into Asia. If you look, and this is numbers from 2024 specifically, so when you hear the million barrels per day, a lot of people talking about 20 million barrels per day, a lot of that increase in number came from the shutdowns and the issue with the dark fleet coming out of Russia. But here, those 2024 numbers have 14.3 million barrels per day, 84% goes to Asia, and of the liquefied natural gas, 83%. Absolutely essential for Asia. This looks at oil shocks, daily oil and gas prices from 1 January all the way up to 9 March. We know that number is much higher. We're seeing a lot of volatility right now in the price of oil. It surged all the way up over $100 a barrel, fell back down. We're going to expect to see this very kind of dynamic shock to the system. The one in particular to watch, I would argue, is not so much oil right now, but liquefied natural gas, because there is no way to increase the amount of liquefied natural gas production out there. Very little alternatives out there that isn't at full or max capacity.
That's what you think.
We have strategic reserves. We have floating reserves. There's a lot you can kind of do with oil. I shouldn't say a lot, but there is some you can do with oil. There's almost nothing you can do with liquefied natural gas. So one of the key stats I think that comes out of this is this one right here. 1/3 of global seaborne trade in fertilizer passes through the Strait, 67% of urea, and then they get into DAP, that's about 20%.
Wait, are these drawings or is this just like AI shit? It's touched up? You think heavily processed photos? I don't know enough about photography to say. Maybe I touched your mom up. The U.S. Navy is not ready to escort oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. Energy Secretary Chris Wright told CNBC in an interview Thursday. It'll happen relatively soon, but it can't happen now, Wright said. We're simply not ready. All of our military assets right now are focused on destroying Iran's offensive capabilities and the manufacturing industry that supplies their offensive capabilities. Even all the ships, did they sail into Iran? Did they beach? We don't have different things that can do different things, really? Wright said it is likely that the Navy will be in a position to escort tankers by the end of this month. God damn, by the end of the month. What? Today, the last state just went north of, was it $3 a gallon? Was it like Kansas or something? Whoo! Whoo! What? And this guy is our government dude, so he's probably giving you a favorable energy secretary, so this might even be a favorable guess. God. Damn. It's 100% being used as leverage for the Xi talks? What do you mean by leverage? I heard that they were still letting the Chinese tankers go through. Is that not true? We should at least blockade the rest of it. If that's true, if Iran is letting the Chinese tankers through, we should at least blockade the Chinese tankers. Okay, we say, okay, hold on. If our shit ain't getting through, nobody's shit is getting through. That's crazy cucked if that's the case. Did we really drop sanctions from Russia and allow them to selectively... Chinese tankers were hit already, intentionally or accidentally? Oh, hold on. No one, not even Beijing, is getting through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, good. Fuck them. Wait, this is published March 6th, though. That's a week ago. Has it changed? Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut. I was in a 2-hour briefing today on the Iran war. All the briefings are closed because Trump can't defend this war in public. I obviously can't disclose classified info, but you deserve to know how incoherent and incomplete these war plans are. Here's what I can share. Maybe the lead is that the war goals don't involve or do not involve destroying Iran's nuclear weapons program. That is surprising since Trump says over and over that is a key goal. But then, of course, we already know airstrikes can't wipe out the nuclear material. Second, they confirmed regime change is also not on the list. So they are going to spend hundreds of billions of your taxpayer dollars, get a whole bunch of Americans killed, and a hardline regime, probably a more anti-American hardline regime, will still be in charge. Okay, so what are the goals? It seems primarily destroying lots of missiles and boats and drone factories. But the question that stumped them, what happens when you stop bombing and they restart production? They hinted at more bombing, which is, of course, endless war. And on the Strait of Hormuz, they had no plan. I can't go into more detail about how Iran gums up the strait, but suffice it to say, right now, they don't know how to get it safely back open, which is unforgivable because this part of the disaster was 100% foreseeable. That was 2 days ago. Blow shit up. That's it. Holy. The portal gun. Grok, did the United States have no plan on the Strait of Hormuz? Did the U.S. sink almost all of Iran's navy? Is the strait open now? Nope.
taking the Strait of Hormuz should be easy for the U.S., right? On the one hand, you have the world's most powerful navy, 11 aircraft carrier strike groups backed by hundreds of ships, thousands of planes, tens of thousands of missiles and bombs. And on the other hand, you have this tiny waterway, only tens of kilometers across at its narrowest point, obstructed only by a regime.
That should be easy. Oh, look at all the boats. These guys, are they just having a little party? Oh, look at them all. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh my God. Do you think these guys like, oh, do these guys are like big chill? Oh my God, they're crashing. Oh. Are they allowed to go from one ship to the other? Or is that like a violation of international law? Actually, I don't know if they're allowed. I don't even know if they're allowed to dock. There's like really weird, crazy restrictions on ships and like people on them. Why do I feel like I watched, was it the internet historian guy on the Suez Canal crisis? Wasn't there like a group of people who a ship got lost or beached here or something, and like two guys had to live on the ship for a year or something? Am I making this up? Because they weren't allowed to deboard or something? I don't know. It's just weird.
Regime that has been pummeled now by airstrikes for nearly 2 straight weeks with no sign of letting up, fighting for a passage the U.S. desperately wants to reopen because it may just be the most economically important maritime choke point on Earth, with 20% of the world's oil transiting through, and they can't take it? I mean, they sound like they can take it.
We have capabilities that no other nation on Earth has. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. If Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder.
But the flow of oil has largely stopped, and the U.S. hasn't been able to get it going again. And actually, a quick scan of headlines maybe even suggests the opposite is happening. Iran laying mines, international cargo ships in the vicinity being hit, dark smoke pouring into the sky. Why can't the U.S. just take over the Strait of Hormuz and get
like dark money?
Oil tanker traffic moving again? Well, because it's a lot harder than it sounds. Almost every problem with the U.S. defending the Strait of Hormuz stems from its size and geography. The fact that it's so narrow means there are just 2 designated shipping lanes deep enough to accommodate the world's biggest oil tankers. That's 1 lane in, 1 lane out, just 3 kilometers wide each and 3 kilometers apart. Now, if you're Iran and you've just threatened to set ablaze any tanker that tries to go through...
Attention all ships from now on. All navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden.
Then you have...
No way. Is that real? Is that actually them?
A very predictable, very tightly confined kill box to work with.
They can hone in very easily on some of those ships trying to navigate those difficult waters. You can't pass a lot of ships through. You can't get ships through there at high velocity.
Oil tankers are big, slow, clunky.
Destiny, absolute Kino audio clip. Clip is not available or was deleted. Thank you.
Targets through the strait itself. They travel at most at around 20, 30 kilometers an hour. Huge targets on well-known paths would make for a very appealing, very easy ambush.
They provide for like a target-rich environment for the Iranians trying to fire drone.
Almost all attacks benefit for being very close to land from an Iranian point of view. So Iran can use a lot of weapon systems that are short-range. So rockets, short-range missiles.
Coastal artillery for literally direct fire that's close to inside of Iran and inside of areas where they've hidden artillery, the rounds that could hit from a local distance, but then also from a greater distance further away.
An attack or multiple attacks at once from so close would leave American warships very little time to defend. Typically, when we think about the kinds of munitions Iran has used to attack its Persian Gulf neighbors, we're talking about a transit time of several minutes or even hours for the slowest moving cruise missiles and drones. That's the kind of lead time you'd like to have to reliably shoot them down. But against an attack from so close, the defender in the Strait of Hormuz might have just seconds to react.
You have to detect, track, identify, track, and then intercept a missile, and it goes very, very fast.
And when you think about how many tankers there would be to defend, typical traffic is 3,000 a month. That's 100 a day. That's a challenge.
These are not military ships. These are transport ships. They do not have any defenses.
And that's to say nothing of the threat from Iranian airspace.
Iran is launching waves of drones and missiles while the United States and Israel are scrambling to shoot them down.
Just this morning, 3 ships in the Persian Gulf reported being struck by suspected Iranian drones.
What makes the Strait of Hormuz so risky to transit is that it is within striking distance of one of Iran's most efficient weapons of war. Shahed drones, depending on the model, have a theoretical max range of up to 2,500 kilometers. That's long enough to strike the strait from literally any part of the country, which is devastating when you consider the impact of a 100-pound warhead costing in the tens of thousands of dollars to manufacture, slamming into these hulking, lumbering targets worth potentially hundreds of millions. Just the oil they carry alone, a big chunk of that. This is a big problem. Then there's the threat from the water.
Iran could use a number of small boats that could perhaps evade detection, at least briefly, use them in combination to overwhelm ships' defenses.
Swarms of drones, mines that are laid, jet skis, small boats that wreak havoc. Think a terrorist attack that would take place on land someplace. Do the same thing. Get close enough to a tanker with a bomb and explode it there, blow a hole in the side of it, sink it. That's really what their capability is right now.
Now, the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has continuously minimized whatever is left of Iran's Navy.
The Iranian Navy is...
Why can't they just build a giant shroud over the strait? Like build like a big tunnel on the top of it, and that way Iran can't see what's going on in there.
largely no more. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is diminishing and will be increasingly diminishing.
But the experts we spoke to told us it doesn't take much to cause damage.
For Iran to disrupt that, they just have to put 3 mines in there. And once an area is mined, it's never technically unmined. So once you introduce that uncertainty, which is extremely cheap, and it introduces unconfidence in insurance markets and commerce. And so there's a huge cost asymmetry here.
And this begins to touch on another problem for the US, which is that it doesn't take many Iranian successes to equal an American loss. One political problem with Trump's war in Iran is that it is unpopular, especially among Democrats, but even among Republicans.
NBC News polling shows a majority of voters disapprove of the president's handling of the situation.
41% approve Republicans. Are you guys okay? What the I want to see that 90-10 split.
In Iran.
I mean, I don't know about
Show me that by party.
Explanations lacking.
This happened because Israel wanted it to happen.
6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what?
So the tolerance for loss, any loss of American military strength, military lives, is extremely low, especially compared to what Iran's leaders can tolerate while still maintaining control of the country.
For the Iranian regime, they see this as existential. And this regime has shown previously that it's willing to kill thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of its own people to stay in power. On the other hand, in the United States, President Trump hasn't made the case for war to the American people. And of course, if there are casualties, especially heavy casualties on the U.S. side, that's going to decrease popular support as well. Iran may suffer far more damage, but it is certainly willing to suffer more damage than is the United States.
It should go without saying, in conventional open naval combat, the U.S. Navy would absolutely crush Iran's. But that's not what a battle for the Strait of Hormuz would be. And even if the U.S. were to eventually win that fight, whatever winning in this case means, it would only take a few successful strikes from Iran to cost the global economy billions of dollars in damage and to completely shut down commercial shipping if ever it did resume. Because the key thing to remember is that all of those oil tankers sitting around, they're not stuck because they can't go through the strait. They're stuck because they don't want to.
The main obstacle that's keeping ships from traversing the Strait of Hormuz is not weapons or threats or mines or anything else. It's insurance. Insurance companies have been really quickly scaling down the level of insurance they have, the kinds of insurance they have, and in some cases, the insurance policy entirely, and just said it will not apply if you traverse through the Strait of Hormuz.
So for the U.S. to take over the strait in such a way that gives the corporations that use it enough confidence to actually do so, it would have to all but destroy Iran's ability to strike from land. It would have to suppress its drone capability, neutralize its naval bases, disarm its mines. Not to mention,
why not just have a no-fly zone over the strait, and then Iran wouldn't be allowed to launch drones?
The U.S. would have to put its own military assets at risk in the direct line of enemy fire.
So the United States has got to create an environment that those ships feel safe. Perhaps there'll be some American flag ones, they'll get escorted through, but it's going to take probably weeks more of military operations.
The first phase was decapitation strike, take out the leadership. The next phase is to deplete the ballistic, cruise missile, and drone capability, hitting the launchers, the stockpiles, the facilities, and whatnot. This takes time.
So that's not just a run-of-the-mill naval escort mission. That's large-scale war, requiring, quite possibly, the comprehensive destruction of Iran's armed forces.
Blackface.
Meanwhile, if any ship were to sink in the Strait of...
Wait, what was that?
Comprehensive destruction of Iran's armed...
Oh. Why do they look so badass? What?
...forces. Meanwhile, if any ship were to sink in the Strait of Hormuz, how do you get it out? How do you free up enough of the lane to make it useful again?
Just keep blowing it up.
What good is a passageway once it's turned into a war zone?
This is a situation where the world is going to learn that this is just too important of a choke point that can never be risked again. And opening it up, should it go down, will take time. And time is money when it comes to moving of natural gas and oil.
The bottom line being, one of the most important waterways in the world is also, apparently, one of the easiest to disrupt. Because Iran, to make good on its threat, never actually needed to control the strait. It only needed to make it too dangerous to use.
God damn. Will Iran break MAGA? So far, there's not much erosion in Trump's polling among Republicans, but a late opinion can trickle down to party base. Wait, how old is this? March 11th, yesterday. 77% approval on Iran for Republicans? The guy, the party of No More Wars? The No More Wars president? What? What? The official Chinese embassy in the USA account posted a video criticizing the United States.
Oh no! Let me keep everyone safe.
Sounds great. Maybe not.
Now, there we go. Relax. Sometimes security comes with a little control.
Jesus. Not cool, China. You.